Level Up Webinar 5. This is number 5 in a series of 12 topics. Tonight's topic is online banking and e-commerce solutions. I'm in very good company tonight with Stuart McFarland. Sorry, Stuart, who is actually from eWay, which we'll cover off a little bit later tonight. So very good company. Tonight we're going to be covering a range of different topics, namely all about online banking and the different options available and how to sort of source the right online banking program for you, how to transact online, all about bank feeds. So we're going to learn a little bit more about how you can create efficiencies through bank feeds with your accounting software. We're going to have a little look at EFTPOS and point of sale options, e-commerce solutions, some newer players in the e-commerce space, so ZipPay and Afterpay solutions. So that's sort of buy now, pay later, and some other applications and tools throughout to keep your finances in order. So just bear with me while I get my slide deck here into presentation mode. Let us know via chat if you have any issues with the audio tonight. I'd also welcome you to introduce yourself on the chat. If you've got any questions you'd like to get in nice and early with, feel free to pop them through and we'll be answering some throughout the session, but there'll also be some questions at the end of the session tonight as well. So we've got 1 hour with you this evening. So we'll do a little bit of coverage over all these different topics. Some of them you'll learn in a little bit more depth for later webinars if you are interested. So we'll have a little bit of a look as to the topics coming up at the end of tonight's session. So this is me. My name is Katrina Lees. I am a partner in the Creative Collective. So we're a company based on the Sunshine Coast, or a head office based on the Sunshine Coast. And we were successful in tendering for this project with council. And basically our role is in facilitating the program, webinars, workshops, etc. So my background is in a Bachelor of Arts, majoring in Design and Communication from the University of the Sunshine Coast, actually. I'm based in Newcastle now, and it's very cold down here. My strengths lie in design, web development, crowdfunding, but in our business, I very much play a role in finance and business operations. So some of the things we're talking about tonight are things that, you know, we've implemented in our own business or that we've, you know, experimented with, you know, different options and things like that. I also take the lead on research and implementation of many new systems in our business, including some of the ones we're going to discuss across accounting, banking, and online transactions. I think I just skipped ahead there a little bit. Just to recap on the Level Up program, if you're new with us this evening, the Level Up program is a Sunshine Coast Council funded program, heavily subsidised kindly by Sunshine Coast Council. It's aimed at small and medium businesses, and the idea behind this is that the NBN is coming to the Sunshine Coast. Council would love you as business owners to connect to the NBN where possible and where not possible to take advantage of faster internet. And doing so will mean that you know, you can fully take advantage of digital tools, online technology and other business solutions in an effort basically to improve productivity, efficiency in your business and ultimately profitability. So that's where we're at. That is me. And I'd like to introduce to you Stuart McFarland from eWay. So Stuart is a very, very clever guy. He's head of product delivery and support at eWay, has extensive experience on this topic and some pretty cool credentials to boot. So over to you, Stuart, to introduce yourself properly.
Thanks very much, Katrina. And yeah, it's great to be talking to Queensland again because I've done a lot of great technology projects up there in Queensland over the past few decades. I actually started out at Global Banking and Securities Transactions in Milton, in Brisbane, which was a great company that that handles the settlements for half the Australian Stock Exchange every day.
Wow.
And also worked at Ernst & Young in Brisbane, Flight Centre. I was the Senior Projects Manager at Flight Centre and helped their expansion into the US when they bought Liberty Travel. But now I'm down in Canberra, and eWay is a great Australian startup that grew to become Australia's largest online payment processor. And then just last year, we were acquired by Global Payments. Our brand had become so big. And the good thing about that, it's put us together with another Queensland company that Global Payments bought in 2014, which is EasyDebit. So now we're putting together the products of EasyDebit and eWay to help Australians buy online.
Fantastic. And very cool little fact here, you actually made the first ever Apple Pay payment in Australia. Is that right?
That is right. So we worked with Apple. So for those who understand Apple, and when they launch technology, they are absolutely, they keep it totally secret. And the non-disclosure agreements you have to sign aren't between eWay and Apple. They're actually with you personally. So we couldn't even tell our colleagues what we were working on.
Wow.
And my chief technologist, he went home every night and was working on the developing against Apple's elliptic curve encryption. And he would have to tell his wife that he was watching a video in the study, that he actually was just watching online videos. So, because he couldn't tell anyone. And then it came to the night before the launch, and Locke and I were still at the eWay office, and we'd been told that it would go live at midnight. And we'd moved everything to production, and we said, why don't we just give it a go? I've got an American Express card. So we put it in, the payment went through successfully, and I called up our good friends at American Express and said, just checking, was a live Apple Pay transaction just came through? And they looked and went, yes, it did.
Very cool indeed. So guys, if you haven't heard of Apple Pay, we will cover it off briefly in tonight's session as well. So lots of different, little bits of cool technology emerging as, banks try and compete with each other with, the new newest boot technology available. So we'll cover off some of that stuff tonight. Remember that this program is all about improving where you're at now. So it doesn't matter if, the concepts tonight are completely new to you, or if, you're an old hand at using online banking or bank feeds or whatever. This program is all about improving where you're at right now. So learning something, moving up a level, etc. As we progress through the levels of the program, it gets a little bit more advanced each time. So the state of the nation, we've got more than 14 million Australian banking customers in August 2016 that were doing their banking online. So to put that into perspective, I think the population of Australia is around 26 or 27 million. So we've got more than half our population doing some kind of online banking in August 2016, which I just find staggering. Stuart, you obviously would have lots of stats on this kind of thing. What's your perspective on it?
Well, that's right. Look, it almost closely matches there's 17 million credit cards on issue in Australia.
Wow.
That people can use to pay online. So, yeah, look, Australians are great adopters of technology. But it's that last point that is most important to me. We are just moving to the mobile platform. That is where people want to be both purchasing, engaging with businesses, engaging with their banks. And all the research from research like people like KPMG or Forrester are showing that. The mobile platform is the platform of choice for people today.
Absolutely. And from our perspective as an agency, we see it just in simple things like, what people are using to visit websites. Like if you go back a couple of years, probably going back 4 years, you might have had, 10 or 15% of your overall web traffic, coming through on a mobile device. These days, it's much more like 50 or 60%. So it's really, really important. Cool. So why should we consider online banking? What are the advantages to, banking online as opposed to, walking into the bank, using a teller, getting cash out, and I guess transacting in the traditional means? give us some, I guess, advantages of banking online, Stuart.
Oh, well, we do everything online now. Look, say it's accessible when you're, when you're available. I mean, we all work much longer hours than in the past, and the 9 to 5 bank hours just don't work. So now we online bank to pay our bills, to see our pay, to even right up to organising home loans now. And I recently had a home loan with or applied for one with ING, and their online platform really was that workflow. You knew where you were up to, you saw that you supplied the documents online, so I never even had to go into a branch. So the advantages of being able to engage with your financial institution when you want to, at a time that's convenient, is one of the key advantages I see.
There's probably lots of people on the webinar tonight that are already using online banking and think, oh, wow, I'm already all over this. I've been using online banking for years. But you would be surprised, actually, as to how many local Sunny Coast businesses and people living on the coast that we've encountered that actually still aren't doing any banking online for whatever reason. Perhaps they're concerned about security or what have you. But some other advantages of, I guess, doing your banking online is that it's really easy to save payees. So, if you're paying staff or you've got to transfer funds to your son or daughter or whoever it may be, they can be saved within your online banking portal. So it's really quick and easy to pay them. A lot of banks these days have mobile applications which make it really, really simple to do on the run. If you've got to transfer money between accounts because, you realise that your credit card's maxed out, or, you've had a payment come out of your main account and you need to shuffle around some money, or whatever it may be, you can do that on the run really, really quickly, even whilst you're standing at a counter ready to pay for something. Of course, you can keep a close eye on your balances, cash flow, money in, money out, international transactions, etc. Best of all, it's available 24/7.
Absolutely. And if I could just touch on one thing, you mentioned it in there, security. I mean, if people have concerns for security, there's one term I want people to come away with tonight. Look, the technical term is called two-factor authentication, and it's about when you log in, whether you're logging into your email or logging into your bank. And what two-factor authentication is, that's when you have another code go to a device. So instead of it just being your username and password, two-factor authentication is where you put in your username and your password, and then it asks you for a code. It may send the code to your mobile phone via SMS, or the bank might have an app, like ANZ has an app that provides these codes for you. And that, if people take nothing else away from tonight, I want them to understand that two-factor authentication is where they should engage, is what they should adopt for all their platforms, because it really it increases the security exponentially from just a username and password.
Absolutely. So we'd love you to text chat in, guys. Let us know if you're currently using online banking, what you like about it, what you don't like. Are you using it for both personal and business? Do you use online banking via desktop only, a mobile device, an app? Let us know. We'd love some feedback so that we can cater tonight's content as much as possible to the audience we've got listening. Rightio, so considerations when looking at online banking. There's lots of considerations. Essentially, you've got to shop around. So where do you already bank? What options do they have available? Do they already have, an internet banking option? Most banks these days, most decent sized banks these days will have an internet banking option, some better than others. Is that option easy to navigate? Does it have a good mobile app, or is it user-friendly on mobile? Is using online banking via your mobile an important factor for you? Another consideration is you know, whether you move money between accounts, make payments, pay bills, use BPay, etc. So is your bank going to give you options to do all that kind of stuff to save payees? I know some banks such as ANZ, you know, you can save batch payments for things like wages and things like that, which, you know, really can save a lot of time and a lot of human error when it comes to just simple things like paying wages in your business. In the same token, something else to consider when looking at online banking is online banking limits. So for instance, just to give you a very personal example, we recently changed our online banking because our previous provider only gave us a $5,000 a day payee limit. So when we were paying suppliers and stuff, etc., like that, we had a $5,000 a day limit, and we really outgrew that. So we changed banks, and I think we've got some kind of ridiculous daily limit now, but you can be in control of that. So they're the sort of things that you might want to think about. Stuart, have you got anything to add on this front?
Look, I was just someone asked a question about Apple Pay and whether that they would take over from the banks. Well, look, very slowly. I mean, the banks, the Australian banks certainly have a secure position in Australia because, as Paul pointed out, only ANZ and American Express support Apple Pay now. But Apple announced today a new product called Apple Pay Cash, so to allow peer-to-peer payments.
Wow.
So yes, over time, in the next few years, I think we will see greater online sort of banking offerings from the tech giants of Google and Apple and Samsung. But right now, look, no, what you said is excellent.
Yeah, cool. So other things, some banks also offer online budgeting tools, which can be pretty cool. Other banks, like Stuart touched on earlier, you know, you can actually open a new account really, really easily. If you know, you decide that you need a separate savings account for, I don't know, that holiday you're saving for, or a business loan that you're repaying, or, you know, just so that you're squirreling away money to cover, you know, a Christmas period or whatever it may be. Some banks offer a really easy way just to open a new account without having to go into the bank and all the rigmarole that goes with it. So we're just going to look at some of Australia's most popular internet banking choices. Number one, ranked through InfoChoice, is actually Commonwealth Bank, CBA. According to Nielsen Research, 7.3 million Aussies in August 2016 were logging into internet banking through Commonwealth Bank. They've got an app as well, which is really easy to use. They offer PayWave and Tap and Go shopping, as well as a pay tag sticker for iPhones. Just to explain some of that, PayWave is obviously where you can tap and go your cards, so purchases under $100, rather than having to enter your PIN or even, you know, choose what account. You just wave your card over, you know, the EFTPOS machine or whatever, and you can do PayWave. You can do it at all sorts of things, like even parking meters these days, or, you know, airport parking and things like that. Pay tag is sort of similar, but it's like a little sticker that you can pop on your phone, for example, so that you don't even need to carry your card with you. You can just sort of swipe your phone and achieve the same outcome. Commonwealth Bank customers can also withdraw cash from an ATM without using their card at all through cardless cash functions on the app. So they're the most popular here in Australia. Then we've got NAB. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about NAB, Stuart?
Yeah, look, NAB, when we get to the e-commerce section, I can tell you that the bank behind most of the e-commerce companies, including eWay and Stripe, is NAB. NAB, you know, of the big four banks, has one of the most advanced product lines, allowing flexible things like dynamic descriptors, which is where you can change dynamically the message or that goes on people's credit card statements. So yeah, we were partnered. eWay's been partnered with National Australia Bank for many years. For online, no, I mean, as you say, Commonwealth is the most popular. I use ANZ, and I guess we'll get to those in a sec.
Yeah, definitely. So NAB was ranked number 2 in Nielsen's research in August last year. So we've got ANZ. Similarly, actually, just coincidentally, I also use ANZ. It came in number 3rd with 4.9 million users in August last year. They've got quite a cool, good little, online budgeting tool as well that you can use for business or personal purposes. And as we touched on earlier as well, they actually support Apple Pay, which just means that you don't have to actually have your card on you. It can be hooked up through your iPhone through Apple Pay.
And they have 3. ANZ actually has 3 apps for Android and 2 for the iOS, the Apple phones, and one there's mobile pay, which allows you to register a card on your phone to use as tap and go, and they also have Go Money, which allows you to transact online, and then they have their security one. So as I said, that 2-factor authentication. So every time I want to make a payment, a sizable payment, ANZ Shield, that's what it's called, ANZ Shield. Every time I do a sizable online payment, ANZ makes me put in the Shield code.
Excellent. So we've got Westpac, number 4. We can probably skim through these. Obviously these are the big 4 banks, but most banks and credit unions these days will provide an online solution. It's probably no doubt that these 4 big players are the most popular because they've probably got the most customers here in Australia as well. But they've also got big budgets to invest into technology and making sure that they're delivering the most amazing user experience when banking online. If you would like to compare different options available, visit this link on screen at the moment. So it's infochoice.com.au/banking/transaction-account. So you can go through and compare different transaction accounts from some of Australia's biggest banks and credit unions. So a little bit of a screenshot there. Customer service might be another consideration for you. So it might not necessarily be about what you can do online. It might be more about whether that financial institution is accessible for support when you need them, and that can be a big consideration. Rightio, so now we're going to have a little bit of a look at bank feeds. So, let us know on the chat if you're already using bank feeds in your business, if you know what they are, whether you've never heard of them. We're just going to run through what they are and tell you a little bit more about them. I would like to let you know that webinar 6, which is next Tuesday evening, is delving deeper into business accounting and payroll. So we will be covering off in a little bit more detail, online accounting solutions, whereas we're just sort of glossing over it at the moment to cover off the topic of bank feeds. So bank feeds really are a game changer for small business. So what they do is, gone are the days of having to, manually keep books of your comings and goings from checkbooks, etc. Then some people might have moved to even a desktop version of MyOb, or even online cloud-based solutions like Xero or MyOb's cloud solution, and may have been importing bank statements or still manually entering transactions. What bank feeds do is they allow you to automatically import account transactions directly from your bank. So this is really, really cool. Basically, every day your accounting software syncs with your bank, pulls in all the latest transactions, be it income or expenses. Another really handy tool is that you can actually create rules. So, for example, if you, pay, there's a transaction on your, say, credit card to Qantas or Jetstar, you can set up a rule so that's automatically coded in your chart of accounts as a travel expense, for example. So, bank feeds quite literally are saving some business hundreds of hours in data entry, which is pretty cool.
And eWay actually has a bank feed to zero. So
yeah, absolutely.
If you're selling online through any online platform and the transactions are processed through eWay, we feed that straight into Xero for our merchants.
Yeah, and that's an important point actually, because in what we do with the Creative Collective, you know, we've got clients with, you know, e-commerce solutions selling products online, and a big frustration of theirs is, you know, getting transactions from their website into their accounting software. So, you know, if that transaction's going through eWay, then that's one way of actually getting that transaction into their accounting software. But, you know, again, later on, further sort of webinars down the track, we'll be covering off things like automations and stuff like that as well. So if you're on the call tonight and that's one of your frustrations, and tune in for future webinars. So how bank feeds work, basically, you know, you voluntarily give permissions through your software to access bank feeds. You know, this can be via a bank link or a third-party provider. The bank actually determines which type of feed you can set up. You can, as Stuart mentioned there, you can have feeds for like eWay, you can have feeds for PayPal, for your credit cards, for your, you know, everyday transaction accounts, and all sorts. Have you got any more detailed information you'd like to sort of add on that front, Stuart?
No, look, you've covered it there. If you put eWay where bank is in the bottom right, we work the same way as the banks.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are already using an online accounting program and you want to know if your bank provides a feed, no doubt if you are using Xero or Maya, perhaps your accountant has already pushed you in this direction. But the links on screen, which will also pop into the resource portal for full program participants, are on screen at the moment. Sorry. Issue with my headset there. So with Xero, for example, there's probably approximately about 70 Australian banks and financial institutions that are supplying direct feeds to Xero, and Maya actually about 110. And I must say I was actually a little bit surprised, because I thought, I guess perception, I thought that Xero would be sort of the leader of the pack here, but in fact it was actually Maya. Goes to show you don't always know everything. Okay, EFTPOS. This is definitely one for Stuart to, you know, demyth for us. Over to you, Stuart.
So EFTPOS is card press. The difference between online and selling online is that's called card not present, because there's higher risk of people just entering their credit card details onto a browser, whereas the EFTPOS system is the bank's own system to take card present payments. And so the fees you pay to your bank to take a card present payment is much lower per transactions, whilst they still certainly have fees to give you the terminal. Because these terminals, just as a bit of trivia, if a business wants to create a new terminal, like in that picture, it costs about $1 million in certification costs. That's how much security goes into that network. It was designed quite a while ago. But yeah, for your business, taking card present payments is really good, especially for higher value transactions, because the percentage transaction fee is much lower when you can do it through the EFTPOS system. So all the major banks offer, and I think there's a slide coming up on some of the mobile options as well, which is certainly gaining popularity.
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe there's also private companies that can offer EFTPOS solutions as well. I guess if you're a business and you're not currently offering EFTPOS to your customers, it's one of those things that you need to weigh up, that if offering that solution and the fees that come with it for you as a business owner you know, outweigh perhaps the extra income that that's going to generate by providing, you know, the convenience of an EFTPOS solution. So rather than only accepting, you know, cash payments, if you're a, you know, bricks and mortar style business, or not even necessarily bricks and mortar. I mean, EFTPOS is a solution that works for, you know, as we'll see in this next slide, you know, a mobile coffee van, or if you're a tradesman, you know, going out to do jobs, and you know, typically you do, you know, the old paper invoices. I mean, that sort of stuff is just so easy to lose track of. You know, there's no automatic reminders or things like that. I mean, how cool would it be if you could go and complete, you know, a job at someone's house or at their business, and, you know, before you even walk out the door, you know, you can actually receive payment for that job through a portable EFTPOS solution. You know, it makes life a whole lot easier. It's good for cash flow, and it saves you a whole lot of stress in debt collecting as well. Can you tell us a little bit more, Stuart, about portable solutions for EFTPOS? I mean, there may be businesses on the webinar tonight, such as, you know, someone that might sell goods or services at markets, or, you know, like a tradesman, or perhaps a cafe or mobile coffee van, for example.
Yeah, look, there's quite a number of solutions, and it's quite a dynamic space, because these have really come along in the last 2 to 3 years. So I'd hesitate to even say which is the leading one, because there's so much innovation still happening in this mobile payment space. The one on the far right, the Square device, you know, is certainly the Silicon Valley backed real innovator in this space. But they're still only have an interim sort of operating agreement in Australia. But look, if I had to take payments, I would absolutely have one of these, because Australia Tap and Go in Australia is the highest take up in the world.
Wow.
Like, Australians have just so embraced that Tap and Go for transactions under $100, where you don't even need a PIN. Yeah, our adoption is it has exceeded anywhere in the world. So, and I see it out at shops, especially the Gen Ys. You know, they just don't carry cash. You know, they really do just want to, for a coffee or a drink at a bar, you see them, they just want to tap.
I absolutely love it. I mean, it's so absolutely lazy, but I just love the fact that I don't have to enter my PIN anymore. And I don't know about anyone else, but I've actually gone to use my card before and had a complete and utter mind blank of what my PIN is, despite using it every day, you know, and Tap and Go is just the answer to my prayers.
You're not alone there, Katrina.
Cool. All right. So, I mean, obviously, EFTPOS is, you know, a great solution if you're, you know, doing business with people face to face. But what if you're a business and you're wanting to branch out, you want to do business beyond the Sunshine Coast, beyond, you know, your immediate area, you want to be transacting with anyone, no matter where they are in Australia or overseas? What are our options? This is really your domain, right?
All the world, yeah, exactly, and all the world. And that's where Australia really has this advantage, because as the markets in Asia open up to us, you know, there is such a demand for the high quality goods that we create in Australia. And to see the success of like Blackmores or Bellamy's, which is the baby formula company out of Tasmania, you know, the demand for their products from China is just so enormous, because they so trust our quality standards here in Australia. So if you make a product, you know, the world is becoming flat, and you should give the rest of the world that opportunity to buy your product. And if you are going to do that, you know, you've picked it right. That these four companies, any of these four companies can help you get there. Of course, eWay's there, but I have great respect for our competitors that you've listed here, and we are all slightly different. There's slight differences between why you'd come to the different companies. Now, Stripe is the tech leader, as in they're backed. They just got their last round of venture funding from Google, which has pushed their valuation into the stratosphere. And their strength is this really broad API, application programming interface. Now, if you don't know what an application programming interface is, but then you probably don't need what Stripe are offering. I, as a technologist, if I'm trying to do the absolute cutting edge of payments, Stripe is where I'd go. eWay, we've always prided ourselves on easy, helpful human. So if you're just starting out in the e-commerce space, eWay, unlike our competitors, we offer a phone number, and you can talk to our customer care team any day and find out about online payments and how you can get there. And that's how eWay has grown to be the leader in Australia, is just through helping people who phone and say, I really want to sell my goods online. How do I get there? Square, as I said, is supporting people taking taking payments in person, not quite card present yet. And PayPal. Well, PayPal is the consumer brand. PayPal's the brand that the consumer knows, but not every Australian wants to use PayPal. So we always said one of eWay's most successful campaigns was don't choose, do both. And that would be my recommendation to anyone. Don't narrow it. You want to broaden the payment options you're offering to when people come to your site to buy your goods. And right now, PayPal, eWay, because in the future, then you're going to put Apple Pay, Apple Cash, and eventually probably a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin or Ethereum.
Which we're probably really going to bamboozle some people in the webinar talking bit currency tonight. Probably a topic for another time, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
They're probably, payment options that we're going to see, popping up more and more online in the future. I'm totally with Stuart on that point that, why choose one when you can use multiple? Like when we're talking more ways to transact online, a lot of these, gateways, as we would call them, plug into your website so you can take transactions online. Now, usually you might be able to offer sort of eWay and PayPal, Stripe and PayPal, or eWay and Afterpay, which we'll cover off in a little bit more detail later on. But really, it's about providing ultimate convenience for your customer, maximizing the chance that they're going to purchase through you because of that convenience, or because you offer the way that they like to pay. I'll also add to, it's funny, I've heard lots of schools of thought where, there's still a whole realm of people that use PayPal because it's just such a well-known international and trusted brand that, if they're still a little bit dubious about transacting online, they're willing to if PayPal's offered. And, in the past, we've had clients that, have sort of added PayPal back into the mix, just for that reason, because there are some people that just know that name and trust it so well, just as, other people might trust, know the eWay name and trust that, or Stripe or what have you. So things you could sell online, really the opportunities here are endless. Products you stock are obviously, the obvious thing. If you stock a retail product, wholesale products, perhaps you, sell tickets to events. Perhaps you're a service provider and, you sell your time, selling online consult slots, for example, allowing people to book and pay for appointments online could be, what you're selling. Memberships, subscriptions, you can accept donations, make venue bookings or facility bookings, pay deposits. The opportunities are endless, but Stuart, I'd love to hear some of the, the different sort of things that you've seen people selling online that might not necessarily be on this list. Any curly ones?
Oh, look, fashion is the big one online. It's certainly the leader. Electronics. See, Kogan, we process all of Kogan's transactions. So if anyone's ever bought from Kogan, it's actually eWay handles those because we're a merchant-facing brand. Alcohol and And food, certainly with the new things like Menu Log or Eat Now, or services like Catch of the Day. These are huge component of online sales in Australia. And look, as big as online is, you know, it's growing at 10% a year. It's still only 7% of all retail in Australia. So, you know, the chance to grow, the opportunities for growth are just still huge in the online space.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's all sorts of things. People sell adult products, you know, online. I mean, if you're you know, a business and you're on the webinar tonight thinking, oh, what could I sell? You know, it's really just my knowledge. Put together an ebook. You could sell, you know, white paper, an ebook. You know, you can sell digital products as well. And you know, there's lots of handy tools where, you know, they purchase a product and it actually issues them with an electronic product. It might be a PDF download or whatever it may be. So we'd love your input here. Let us know what you're currently selling online. What are you maybe planning on selling online, or, you know, what else could you potentially sell online? So, you know, I mean, the whole nature of these webinars is that you apply, you know, the content of what we're talking about, and, you know, you get those ideas buzzing. So we'd love to hear them. Oh, sorry, I think I might have a little bit of a delay here. There we go. Sorry, there was there. So
Yeah.
PayPal, could you take us through PayPal as a solution? We covered it off in a little bit of detail, but what are the pros and cons here?
Absolutely. Look, PayPal, huge consumer-facing brand, well known by consumers everywhere. Also, in that top right picture, offers a device called PayPal Here, which allows you to take credit card payments. And a great place to start, but their fees. They offer a very comprehensive service, but they do charge for that. So as people grow, they tend to move on from PayPal.
We find that actually, we find a lot of businesses that sort of don't know how much volume they'll be selling online, for example. They tend to start out with a solution like PayPal. It's relatively quick and painless to set up. You don't need merchant accounts and things like that, which Stuart will tell us a little bit more about shortly. But it's nice and easy. You set up an account, you link it to an existing bank account. You've got to go through a little bit of a verification process, but it's quick and easy to set up. The fees can be a little bit higher, but it's a good starting point just to gauge volume. And you know, we'd always recommend anyway that you do a little bit of an audit anyway on whatever solutions you're using, say on an annual basis, weigh up how many transactions you're taking online, you know, what the income from those transactions are, or the value of those transactions. Make sure you're on, if you're not using PayPal and you're using the likes of eWay or Stripe or, you know, other gateways available, you know, check that you're on the most appropriate plan with that organization. And, you know, you might find a cost efficiencies that way as you grow. But PayPal is a nice, easy to set up starting point just to gauge volume, and you can always step it up a notch from there.
Absolutely. And look, I should just tell people now, I have an account with each of these businesses. I have a PayPal merchant account, I have a Stripe, I have a Square, and I have an eWay. You know, for all the different things, they all have their strengths and weaknesses. So on to Stripe, as I said, it is a US tech company, and as a technologist, we have great respect for Stripe and their business and their technology and what they can do. But yeah, our competitive advantage against them is that easy, helpful human. You know, there is no phone number to call for Stripe.
I guess there's a time and a place for all of these applications, and it's just weighing up what your needs are in your business. And, you know, if it's for, you know, really fancy sort of API integrations and things like that, or really intricate needs, maybe Stripe's the way to go. If, you know, more important to you is that you've got that support and that sort of human, you know, human touch point, then, you know, maybe eWay is the way to go. But I guess our role in delivering these webinars is to give you options, to sort of gloss over each of the options, so that you can go and do, you know, your own due diligence as well, and work out what's right for you. And of course, if you're a full participant in the Level Up program, then, you know, you've also got access to mentors and, you know, the online Facebook support group as well, where you can lean on some of the other members. Square, so we touched on this one as well. I'm probably less familiar with Square, actually. So yeah, I'm quite interested to hear a little bit more about this one.
They are pushing the boundaries of the banks. As I said, when it comes to EFTPOS, and you're right, you can get EFTPOS devices from some other companies like Tyro, but Square have come into the market and they are a disruptor. You know, their device is far cheaper and more available than anyone else's. Like, you can pick up their device from Officeworks, from Bunnings. Look, it's not on there, but I'm pretty sure you can buy a Square device from Bunnings.
Wow.
And look, they are a disruptor. And I full respect for what they've done. If you just need to take a few payments, sometimes you need to take card payments. That look at their price point. When as you say, when people do their own due diligence, they'll find that, wow, it's so much cheaper than what anyone else could do. Pretty
sexy looking device there too. They've definitely got a bit of Apple-esque or that design as well.
Oh, look, yeah, absolutely. And I have one. As I said, like I use all of our competitors' products as well, because each has its own advantage. Cool.
All right, over to eWay, I believe. Sorry, there's a slight delay on the transition of slides here. Absolutely your domain, take it away.
Yeah, look, so eWay is Australia's largest. We have the most merchants, and we process 1 in 4 online transactions in Australia is processed through eWay. But also, this is where we have an API, and you can integrate against that if you want to do cutting edge payments. But we have plugins to the 300 top shopping carts and e-commerce platforms like Nido or Magento. So if people are setting up their shop on Nido, Magento, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, they'll find the eWay plugin on those platforms. And all they need to do is select it, put in the key that they get from eWay, and away they go. Make it simple.
So guys, with you know, these solutions, be it PayPal, eWay, Stripe, you are going to be paying a fee for the convenience of that. To put it into perspective, Stuart, we were having a conversation earlier about how, you know, at least 1% of that is going between banks, right?
That's right. Look, so let's talk about that 1.9% plus 20, and you'll find those sort of rates anywhere. The first 1.1% of that is just it's called interchange fee. It's the fee between the issuing bank, the bank that issued the credit card, and the bank that is the acquiring bank for the merchant. And the 20%, this is a global network controlled by Visa and MasterCard with a few key switches, like companies you've probably never heard of, like First Data or MIGS. You know, so all of that chips away. The last fractions of a percentage, what you're paying for is those integrations. I mean, that's effectively what, for eWay, what you're paying for eWay is to help us get you that internet merchant facility, and we're going to talk about that a bit more, and because we've given you a plugin that's going to make it easy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so, you know, fees are, probably a little bit much of a muchness from solution to solution. Sometimes there can be a setup fee or an annual fee and things like that. So like I said, do your due diligence, maybe estimate how many, if you're already transacting online, do a little bit of research to work out how many transactions did you do in the last 12 months and what was the value of that, and sort of, I guess, compare what that might have cost you in fees across some of these different platforms. If you're starting out and you haven't transacted online before, perhaps you might start with something like PayPal and add eWay on, or Stripe on later on down the track. Or perhaps you might look to using one of these other gateways straight up, but starting off on one of the lower plans. So it really just comes back to due diligence. Don't jump into it willy-nilly. Do your research and work out what is going to be best suited to your business. Now this, I think, is just a game changer. It's a massive trend. We're seeing this pop up on so many more sites. You guys might have seen it on sites that you've been on and not sort of understood necessarily what it is. Perhaps you're an avid fan and do lots of transactions online using these features. So this is a buy now, pay later solution. There's Zip Pay, there's Afterpay, there's others on the market as well. But Stuart, take us through this.
Oh, you're right. It is a game changer. And I'll just to disclose, eWay has partnered with Zip Pay on this. So that's just the commercial arrangement that's in place. But look, they are a game changer, and not just online. That in store as well. And having looked through the terms and conditions of both, look, this is great for consumers. It's great for the merchant get the price that the consumer sees is that 4 payments of this or just get now, pay later. It's another line of credit, but also the flexibility that these companies are going to offer to merchants. Look, credit card payments are still, in this ecosystem controlled by these global giants of Visa and MasterCard. Zip Pay and Afterpay, they control their own ecosystem. So the sort of products that they're going to be able to offer merchants going forward, it will be really flexible and really innovative.
Yeah, cool. Tell us, because I'm sure there's probably business owners on here wondering if I had an online store and I was going to offer Zip Pay or Afterpay, do I, as the business owner, do I get the full payment up front and then these organizations chase the customer month to month for the payments? Right, so I still get paid up front. Like there's no
That's right.
for me as a business owner.
You do get paid up front as the merchant. There's a percentage. The merchant, that of course, like eWay, there's a percentage, fee on the transaction. But absolutely, the rest into your hands, and then it's up. The company takes that risk to chase people up.
Yeah, cool.
But I look at the fees. The fees they're charging for the consumer are very reasonable. Like compared to credit card rates, they're quite competitive.
Excellent. So I've got an example just on this next slide, which is just perfect example for how Afterpay was a game changer for one business. But I mean, how cool is this as a concept that customers get the ability to pay a product off, say, over 4 fortnightly payments or 4 monthly payments, for example, but you as a business owner get that money up front. Like, I just see this as a total game changer for the industry. Here's an example. So this is from an online Facebook group, like a business networking group that I'm in. There's about 40,000 members. This is quite literally a post from last week. So this particular lady blurred out details for obvious reasons. She said, "I don't know why I put Afterpay off for so long. This amount of orders has gone out every day this week since adding Afterpay on Sunday." So in a few days, she literally, these were all the additional orders that she had just from people that used Afterpay. Now, as a business owner, I mean, we don't know all the details of her business and, you know, how much traffic she gets and, you know, normal amount of transactions in a day. But, you know, if you had that many extra orders in a week, would paying a little bit extra in, you know, fees for the ability to have that service on your website, would that be worth it if it raked in a whole lot of extra income? And these are the things that you've got to think about.
Absolutely. Can I say, look, I run workshops with some eWay's customers over the years, and these sort of online successes are out there. I literally had a merchant once say to me, this lovely lady, and she sat through, she asked some really good questions during the workshop, and then I approached her after and just said, oh, so which business is yours? And she told me, and she said, you know, I actually now have more money than I ever thought I would. I just want someone to come and run it for me now. These
Awesome.
are they're real online success stories and me as a person who still goes to work 5 days a week, you know, these success stories are out there.
Very cool indeed. Guys, I've just noticed on the chat that, Therese, you were having a few issues with sound cutting in and out. I don't know if that's a localized issue, Therese, or whether other people are experiencing that. If other people are experiencing that, just chat in and let us know. I am doing a dual recording of the webinar just in case we do have any sound issues. And if we watch it back and that is the case, then we'll of course make sure that everyone gets a copy of the webinar to watch back with full sound. We can also see a few more questions that have come in, but if everyone's okay, I might just save them up to the end when we cover off questions and tackle them all at once. Cool. So guys, if you are just, you know, embarking on perhaps a POS system, point of sale system, you're looking to, you know, start transacting online, etc. These guys, Retail Express, are a Sunshine Coast-based company. They're one of the big players in the point of sale space. Started on the Sunshine Coast by a Sunshine Coast guy, Aaron Blackman, I believe. And so they offer, you know, basically solutions. So they can look at, you know, what you're doing in your business, what your situation is, etc., and make recommendations to you on perhaps either, in-store point of sale systems or mobile point of sale systems. They also do, you know, some smart sort of inventory control and things like that, which is another bugbear that we've seen actually with e-commerce businesses is, you know, if you've got, say, a bricks and mortar, you know, fashion store, but you're also selling that same stock online, how can you manage inventory as if it was all, you know, sitting in the one place? And that's where, you know, a company like Retail Express may be able to assist you. Online merchant facilities. So I noticed one of the questions that's come in is in relation to whether you simply, you know, hook up a gateway solution with a bank account. Now, this can get a little bit confusing, and you know, we're really lucky to have Stuart, you know, presenting tonight and can kind of demyth this for us. But my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Stuart, something like PayPal, you can link with an existing bank account. That something like eWay or Stripe, you do need a special merchant account. Is that correct?
Well, that's changed quite recently. Okay. So you can definitely come to eWay now, and we will give you that internet merchant facility is the technical term for it. But you do to be able to take credit card transactions, you need to go through a credit process, because it needs to show that you're the right type, because it's a line of credit. Being able to take money from the 17 million credit cards on issue in Australia and the tens of millions more around the world, there is a bar to get over. But companies like eWay make that easy for people now, and you can apply through us, and we'll take care of that for you.
Cool. So, yeah, I mean, I think that probably sums it up quite well, that if you receipting funds before you actually, handing over a product, then obviously it's like a line of credit. And so, if you go to a bank and open up a merchant account, that they do want to see some verification, and, you've got to sort of tick some things off a checklist to be able to get approval for that. But cool to know that eWay also offer merchant facilities and things like that as well now as well. Cool. So we're almost to the end of the slides. We'd love you to text chat in and let us know if your business is using any of these systems to sell online already, or could it. Let us know what ideas you've got buzzing. Some major e-commerce platforms. So, all of these on screen will integrate with PayPal, eWay, Stripe, etc. So these are major sort of e-commerce platforms, the popular go-to, tools that people use to actually set up e-commerce stores. So these are sort of website-based platforms. So we've got Shopify. Shopify is both a content managed system, meaning that you manage your website and your content through Shopify, but also provides the platform, the e-commerce platform as well, where you you set up your products, all that kind of stuff, and you link it with your gateway being eWay, Stripe, PayPal, etc. We've got WooCommerce. So WooCommerce is a free plugin that you can use with your WordPress site if you've got a WordPress website. There's lots and lots of add-ons that you can actually plug in as advanced features to WooCommerce, or other plugins that are compatible with WooCommerce. So really the sky's the limit there. We've got Magento. So Magento is another really, really popular e-commerce platform, so content managed system. Yeah, quite sort of, advanced options with Magento as well. BigCommerce is another popular one, and Neato is one that we've seen really emerge in a couple of years. And I actually think from a web development perspective in the e-commerce space, Neato is definitely one to watch, and are doing some pretty cool things like integrations with things that you might be doing outside your website, like Google AdWords and things like that as well. So look, just some of them there. Obviously, if you don't already have a website and you're looking to get into the e-commerce space, talk to some web developers, get a couple of opinions, get recommendations. You'll find different web developers prefer different platforms. For example, we as a company, we tend to work mostly with WooCommerce for websites that we develop, but you've got other specialists that work with Shopify, etc. So yeah, that's just a little bit of an overview there. But if you don't have a website and you don't have the budget to get a website, you can actually also sell on Facebook. So Stuart, do you want to tell us a little bit more about this as a solution?
Yeah, so look, selling it through social has certainly come along. It's really about having a very focused product offering in social. So really, it's about showing your product in context, and then really being part of that community. And whether like the examples on the screen, cycling's a community, as is surfing. And so it's not just about having that broad offering on social. It's about engaging with those communities and showing your products in context. And there's some over the years. Look, just one that always pops to mind is Showpo, a great business that I'm not even sure is an eWay merchant, but just someone who's done a great job of showing her products in context and really growing a great business.
She's an absolute powerhouse. Jane Liu is actually the owner behind Showpo. She's probably only 25 years old, and in fact, that business group that I shared the example from earlier was actually started by Jane Liu, funnily enough, who's the founder of Showpo, coincidentally. In the interest of time, I know we're a few minutes over, guys, but we're pretty much at the end of the slide deck now, and we're going to just cover off a little bit more about the Level Up program and open it up for questions. But this is a case study on the Sunshine Coast, Scanned It Cafe. It's a local cafe using point of sale software. That software means that for the transactions that they take in the cafe, feeds directly into their Xero accounting, saves hundreds of hours in bookkeeping and data entry, but it also speeds up reconciliation at the end of the day. And let's face it, if you're a cafe owner or, you know, managing a restaurant or whatever it may be, and you're on your feet all day, the last thing you really want to do at the end of the day is, you know, try and reconcile all your takings, etc. So certainly speeds up that process. If you're not happy with your current solution or you don't have a current solution, do some due diligence, check out some of the you know, options that we talked about today. Good starting point is to go and talk to your bank or to talk to a point of sale specialist like Retail Express. You can even pop into places like, I know there's not one on the Sunshine Coast, but Apple Genius Bars. I mean, they've got a whole business team that can help you with, you know, point of sale solutions and things like that as well. So there's lots of options, you know, if you're looking for where to go. Questions just before we do. I just want to quickly cover off a little bit more about the Level Up program. So we're actually at level 5 this evening, which is getting started with banking online and point of sale systems. So we're not quite halfway through the program now. The different topics are on screen there. We cover off things like, you know, PBX phone systems and CRMs, how to automate some operations in your business, which is definitely one of my favorite topics. Next week, in 2 weeks' time, we're going to be covering off you know, online systems and developing of, you know, company wikis and things like that. You know, level 12, we're going to be sort of looking at more reporting mechanisms and business KPIs, etc. So really, this program is covering the full spectrum of, you know, what you can do online. Now, some of these topics you may know better than other topics. You know, perhaps there's someone in your business that you feel might benefit from one of these topics, which is where we can, we come into the program here. So look, you can take bite-sized topics as you like. These webinars are absolutely free to attend. If you don't attend the webinar and you want to access the recording later on and download it, it's a $25 fee. So just by, you know, turning up on the night and watching it live, it's absolutely free. We're also doing workshops. So we've delivered one workshop already. There's 3 more to go, potentially more to be added into the mix. But basically each workshop is 3.5 hours in duration, covers 3 to 4 topics in a chunk. It's $75 per workshop if you just want to go as a one-off. Now, the best value for this program, as I touched on at the very beginning of the webinar, this is a fully subsidised program by the Sunshine Coast Council. Guys, take advantage of it. It offers enormous value. For $295, you and 3 other participants from your company, be it colleagues, you know, admin staff, marketing people, whoever they may be, can participate in the full program. So what you get is attendance at all the workshops for 4 people. So there's 4 workshops in total, half a day each. There's workbooks and all sorts that come with them. All of the webinars, all of the recordings, you get access to the online resource portal where we follow up with, you know, links and extra resources and things. You know, reinforcing any of the things we've talked about on the webinars or throughout the topics. But another cool factor, which is where I think you can get a huge amount of value, is if you're a full program participant, you can actually get access to some of the program mentors. So these are various different experts across different fields, and you can actually get one-on-one time with those mentors at absolutely no cost, no extra cost, just by participating in the program. So it's 12 modules, 12 webinars. webinars. Those 12 webinar topics are also covered across 4 workshops, resources, workbooks, etc., through an online portal. You get lots of emails with, you know, resource links. There's also a private Facebook group as well where, you know, all the participants of the program are there, all the mentors are there, and it's a really great support network. You know, if you just want to kind of, you know, get a little bit more detail on a topic covered, or clarify something. These are some of the mentors or digital champions that are available to you if you're a full program participant. Anyway, in the interest of time, I'm going to jump back to questions, if that's okay with everyone. So what have we got here? Just bear with me. Still got you there, Stuart?
Oh, you do, you do. And look, there's my eWay is giving a webinar that I'm hosting next Thursday. So if people have questions on really advanced payments like cryptocurrencies and where we're going with invisible payments, that's where. So that's next Thursday at 11 a.m. Next Thursday, the 15th of June. So just you can find that through eway.com.au.
Yeah, cool. So Paul asked, he just wanted to clarify whether eWay can still process global payments.
Absolutely. We can, we could take, if you're with eWay, you can take payments from anywhere in the world.
Yeah. And Paul, just to clarify, you know, it can be a little bit more complicated than just registering your bank details with the gateway. So as we said, with PayPal, you can use any kind of bank account and link that up. Still a bit of a verification process. But for the likes of Stripe and eWay, etc., you will need a merchant account. You can either inquire with your bank on the setup of a merchant account. Fees will differ from bank to bank. And eWay also offers a merchant account option there as well. Great question as well, again from Paul, is whether you can also auto schedule monthly gateway transactions, i.e. for subscriptions or, you know, regular payments and things like that. You can, can't you, Stuart?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Paul, the technical term for that is recurring. So if you're talking to your provider about that sort, yeah, monthly subscriptions and recurring. And look, EasyDebit are the leader in that, and that's why they were required by Global Payments.
Excellent. So Valentina, looks like you might have experienced some blanks in sound as well. So we'll definitely listen back, and if we do have any issues, we'll try and fix them up before the webinar is recording. But thanks for that feedback. Andrew, love the feedback. So Andrew said he's already realised more than his fee for the program. So thank you so much, Andrew. You know, this program is really just about giving objective information on all the options that are available to you. You know, I mean, yes, we've got Stuart from eWay here tonight, but I think everyone can agree, you know, he's really given a all-round view of the options available, you know, without prejudice. And that's what this is about. It's just about giving you guys, I guess, the information to make informed choices, or to sort of point you in the right direction on, you know, how you can do a little bit more due diligence.
And there's just a question by Valentina there on a limit. Valentina, there is no limit to the transaction amount you can do in a credit card payment. Okay, there are only limits based on the risk of a business. So when you're a new merchant with a gateway like eWay, the sky isn't the limit. You need to talk to us about how big the payments are, but the business case for that. But I can tell you, there's no technical limit. If you want to take a payment for millions through a credit card, it is absolutely possible.
Very cool. Excellent. Well, guys, we're a little bit over time. It looks like there's no more questions coming through. So I'd like to thank everyone very much for joining us on your Tuesday evening for the webinar. We'd love to have you join us for next week's webinar. I believe I'm also facilitating that one. It's actually on online accounting systems and payroll. So if you're, you know, using more of a desktop accounting solution, or my gosh, even sort of, you know, the old paper books, for example, then certainly join us on the webinar next week. And to learn more about the program, guys, if you're not a full program participant, or you just like to, you know, find out a little bit more about future topics, visit levelup.sunshinecoast.queensland.gov.au. I would like to thank Stuart for joining us tonight. Stuart, your expertise has been invaluable, so thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Wonderful.
Well, thanks, guys. Signing off. The webinar will be available on the online portal within the next day, hopefully, and we'll see you all next time. Have a great night.